Hello, it's Grace. Welcome to my channel. Today we are doing a part 2 of talking you out of jealousy, FOMO, and comparison game. In the last video, I briefly mentioned the dopaminergic system, which I'd like to explain in more detail so that you can understand better why I said life is fair, and really other people's highlight or constructed image on social media is not a full reflection of their reality, and why there is no reason for you to be jealous of anybody you know online, around you, including your friends. Let's dive right in. Unpacking a little bit of neuroscience about the neurotransmitter called dopamine. We all have a dopaminergic system in our brain where we are constantly involved in the dopamine feedback loop, which means when we are doing something pleasurable to us, our brain secretes dopamine to our dopamine receptors. This is what people mean when they say they get a dopamine hit, which makes us feel really good, rewarded, and excited. That feedback is what drives us to want more of that because, as you can see from the diagram, our body is constantly trying to keep us in balance, and as a result of the body trying to regulate our dopamine level to not let it get out of control, we naturally get a little dip in the dopamine amount below baseline following a dopamine hit, which can make us feel a bit fatigued and low in mood, basically not so great compared to your normal baseline level. This is all natural. All healthy individuals go through that all day, every day. What makes it a neurotransmitter that is responsible for motivation and reinforcement is that as humans, we are naturally wired to pursue those dopamine hits as a mechanism for survival. We are made to want to feel good all the time, but that doesn't mean we get to feel good all the time in reality. The bigger, higher the dopamine peaks, the lower dopamine dips. When you're obsessively chasing dopamine hits after dopamine hits, which in today's world is so much more easily available to obtain, you may be able to get multiple dopamine hits in a row to get the dopamine level elevated for a longer period of time. But because it takes time for the body to recycle dopamine molecules and there is only so much dopamine readily available to release at one time, the peaks get smaller and smaller, and when it dips, it may lead to much lower dips and chronic depressive episodes. If you think about dopamine as a currency, it is like you are overspending money, putting yourself in debt without giving yourself the time to make the income to replenish your bank account. In addition to that, if your body is sensing the overstimulation from dopamine, it can downregulate your dopamine receptors, reducing dopamine synthesis and increase dopamine reuptake as an attempt to maintain homeostasis. This desensitizing of dopamine is called dopamine tolerance, which basically means you get less reward doing the same thing as before. Over time, if you're doing this constantly, you can lower your dopamine baseline, meaning you end up feeling a lot more worse than your natural state, which can make you feel as though you have to immediately do the thing that gives you that hit of dopamine again just to feel normal, because it feels so bad without those hits, which leads to addiction. And when your dopamine system is so abused and nothing makes you feel good anymore, you become seriously depressed. Disclaimer, by no means I'm an expert in neuroscience. I'm just a person who is interested in psychology, mental health, and self-development. And this is a very simplified explanation with what I understood from reading and watching various podcasts. The podcast episode I would recommend and also link down below is Andrew Huberman's episode on controlling your dopamine for motivation, focus, and satisfaction. He explains a lot more in detail there. One thing that was quite eye-opening from that podcast episode was that he mentioned even people who are engaging in a kind of work hard, play hard lifestyle with a scheduled intermittent high dopamine hits, such as working hard during the week and drinking every weekend, or every Wednesday salsa night if you like dancing, which can give people a high dopamine hit on a regular, predictable basis. That seems like a pretty awesome and balanced life, right? That is a kind of lifestyle that most people are striving towards. But even if you seemingly live a pretty balanced lifestyle and give time to replenish dopamine levels, it can still lower your baseline dopamine level over time because of these regular high peaks of dopamine hits over many, many years. It just demonstrates how fair life is when you know we all have brains that have a similar pain-pleasure balance, and as long as you are meeting your basic survival needs, how happy you are does not depend on how wealthy you are, how much fame you have, and how romantic your relationship seems, and the list goes on. So the next time you are feeling FOMO and jealous of other people having so many material things and wonderful experiences that are hitting that dopamine peak button like crazy, well, don't be, because it is not as nice as you think it is in the reality over time. Now, let's focus on the main topic of this video and talk about why it's okay for all of us to be different and unique. In the last video, I mentioned that nobody is more special than anybody else, and either we're all special or we are all ordinary. So, if we're all ordinary, how can we be unique and different at the same time? Well, the concept of we are all special does not mean we are special in terms of we are celebrity that are extra special and everybody else are not that special. I know we have celebrity in real life, but if nobody made them a celebrity and if nobody created a celebrity culture, at the end of the day, they are just another human being, a speck on this earth. What I mean is we can be unique at the same level at the same time because all of us have a lot of potential with a unique distribution of assets. Think of it like your unique DNA, but in terms of potential. Some people discovered more from exploring themselves early on, and some of us didn't have much opportunity to discover much of our unknown potential or started much later. But nobody can be sure about how much potential they have or anybody else have unless they keep exploring and discovering. There is always more to dig, like we are all walking human minds. That is basically what we do our whole life. Some people may even consider this the meaning of their life. Who knows? And who can tell me this person is better than the other person or this person is more special than the other person if they're not God? The point is you can be different and unique naturally. You don't need to put a lot of effort to try to be extra unique or different from others. You are already unique and different if you are just being authentic. We all are. Not one body type is the most beautiful. Not one facial tone is ideal. Not one height is better than the other. Not one face is more attractive, assuming you're healthy, of course. I think it is time to take responsibility and own up to the fact that we made it all up. The reason we are judging ourselves constantly, comparing ourselves constantly to just feel good enough, which we never end up feeling anyways, is because we are judging other people around us constantly. We are reinforcing this beauty, success, health, wealth standard in our mind. We are creating the good and the bad through our judgments and prejudices. I know it is hard to hear. It is for me too. But right now, honestly, if I was an alien looking at us, we're being a victim of a game we created ourselves. Even though initially as children, we were brainwashed by societal and cultural standards, now even though we know that this standard is ridiculous and impossible to contain all the variation nature provides, we are still blindly choosing to comply with this idea that somebody is higher on this pedestal because they post some edited, filtered photos or videos of themselves demonstrating how happy they are in that particular moment. We believe that the reason they look so happy is because of all the things they have, which we don't think we have, because fundamentally, if we are all stripped naked as babies from ground zero, we know deep down that we are human beings and nobody is born with a higher worth than anybody else. So it must be the possession they have, the physical beauty they were born with, the partner they're with, the generational wealth they inherited or able to build. It must be their ability, their specific skills, their charming personality, family background, and talent, all sorts of things right? From the beginning of this video, I explained that we all have a dopaminergic system in our brain. And reality is never going to be freezed constantly in that smile we show to the outside world in a specific moment. Nobody is living a life only filled with happiness, because if that is the case, if all of anybody's life is really constantly filled with huge highlights of dopamine hits, they probably either don't take pleasure from those things we think are very pleasurable anymore, or they are secretly becoming more and more depressed deep down, or both. If you think about it, every time someone posts on social media and gets a lot of likes, positive feedback, validation, they get a dopamine spike which lasts maybe for a few minutes or hours, and then they naturally wouldn't feel so good for a while afterwards, which prompt them to pursue another dopamine hit. In this case, would you rather feel good from the likes and positive validation from others for a moment, or have your peace in the long run? Let's just take a moment to think about that. At the same time, we also cannot cheat or buy our way to that illusion of happiness we want to achieve. If we want to have a healthy dopamine balance in our brain and continue to enjoy the things we enjoy now, it is important to embrace the uncomfortable, the expected feeling of a bit low or down after a dopamine spike. And it is healthier to do things or experience things we enjoy once in a while in a randomized, intermittent way, instead of having it all the time in our lives. I often like to compare all of us as different artworks with their unique qualities, shapes, size, and forms in a gallery curated by the same artist. When I go to an art gallery, I never really question artists' sanity or ability in creating a particular artwork, because I know they are all created intentionally, expressing what the artist wants to express. And the fact that they took the time to create it and exhibit it in a gallery means it has a lot of worth to them, and it is their precious work. It doesn't matter if I understand the meaning of the artwork or not. It doesn't matter if I like it or not. The funny thing is, every single one of us, the artwork in the gallery itself, are judging each other. I'm prettier than you, or this one is more artistic than the other one. Some of them want to look exactly the same as other artwork because they want to increase their value. What the artworks don't realize is that the artist who created all these artworks created every single one thinking that it is good and beautiful work, worthy to have a place in the gallery. Every single artwork is created differently and purposefully varied and interesting. As I think about why, although everybody knows we're all different but still have the desire to imitate, copy each other, wanting to be the same, it comes down to two things. Number one, the need to belong and to be accepted. Number two, our own weakness in believing in the illusion that I described, the upward and downward comparison, that everybody else is better than me, everybody else has a better life than me because look, they all look happy and I don't look as happy as them at this very moment. Or the opposite, I'm better than these people because it seems like I have the things they don't have, which supposedly would make me happier and more special than them, which puts a lot of pressure on us to keep up with the Joneses, to be the better, fancier version of ourselves according to who we admire upwards. But in reality, we are not getting happier. It is understandable that some of us may have a higher need for love and belonging than others, as we are a social creature. That is another video for another time. However, I do want to plant a seed of transforming the victim or persecutor mindset. The mindset that we are doomed to be inferior or superior in the comparison game. I know it is hard, but if we really want to stop or at least reduce as much as we can in playing this comparison game and accept our unique characteristics and life paths, I believe it is possible to reach a much more content and peaceful state of being. If you enjoy my content, do give it a like and share this video with people that you think need to hear this message. I will see you in the next one. Bye!